Can you all see me? Can you all hear me? Welcome to the first Saber Town Hall. You got your saber ready?
Yes, sir.
I am
Always.
Anthony. We got Jedi Gabe here.
Yes, sir. It's that
I've
time.
got my Graflex from FX Sabers from Michael Murphy, Master Yoda.
Yes, the one and only.
Pixel system, but I got the SpaceWIndu blade plug chip in my blade plug right now. So Gabe, how are you doing?
I'm pretty good, man. Holding up with this staying at home, staying safe stuff, quarantining and just trying to stay safe, stay busy, and that's about it,
I mean, you're working during the whole thing, so it's not like you're totally trapped at home, right?
Yeah, we got staggering days. There's some days I'm on, some days I'm off and stuff like that. Days that I'm off, I wish I could go out and do things, but obviously can't. So just stay in the house and just look for things to do. But I keep myself busy.
And today you finished the Clone Wars?
Yeah, today I was finally able to see Clone Wars. I haven't started Rebels yet. I'm going to start Rebels next.
Okay, so you watched like Clone Wars like season 1 through 7?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. But you haven't seen any Rebels at all?
Never watched Rebels before.
Yeah,
I was never
like
into
Rebels.
Never into the and some people might say you're not a true fan, then you're a poser, but I was never into the cartoons. I thought that was too kiddish, I guess.
Yeah.
I just like the movies. But learning more about some of the books and the cartoons that are actually canon stories and things like that, I got interested and started watching. And I finally finished the Clone Wars today. I'm going to start Rebels next.
Yeah, like the Clone Wars has some great animation where like at some points when they're like doing a sky battle or they're in space, or sometimes just like an ignition of a lightsaber looks like a real lightsaber. These spaceships and all the sky battles look like they could make a movie that was like akin to like an Avatar, where they just don't use people at all. I think like that. Consider this Clone Wars season 7. That's cartoon, like what can be possible with the cartoon, but they could up the ante, and make more realistic looking people, maybe almost to the tune of like looking more realistic.
Correct.
Oh, Mark's in the chat. What's going on, Mark?
What up, Mark?
I just had your saber opened up because speaker number 2 was being put in right before we started here. I'm actually still not sure if that speaker that you sent is going to be good, but the first speaker that I installed is working good. Barry, what's going on? Hey guys, he says.
What's up, Barry?
Hope you guys are having a really good evening. This is going to be the first Saber Town Hall where we are just going to have like a Saber talk, but we are going to listen to what everyone has to say. We want to have I was thinking, Gabe, like a community talk, like a Saber Town Hall, because I was thinking what's today? I guess it's like the second to last Friday of the month. Like, I don't know how to describe it, right? So maybe we do it like every second to last Friday of the month. We do a Saber Town Hall.
It's like end of the month meetings, community meetings.
Yeah. We got to see the state of the Saber world. I was pretty happy with when I saw like Mace Windu in the Clone Wars, the color of his lightsaber, the way the lightsaber looked. I was happy with like Obi-Wan and Anakin. I kind of wrote a couple notes for the episodes that I saw. I only saw 4 episodes, so I saw in Clone Wars season 7, I got up to like 4, and I guess I can't give it like my 100% attention either, because I was kind of like doing a little bit of work while I was watching it too. But I made a couple notes from like some things I noticed. One thing in episode 1 that one of the droids had a joke. I thought it was actually funny. Like when I thought he was going to complete that sentence that's been said a few times before, where it's almost like fan service, but they didn't complete it. So someone like one of the droids says, do you know what's going on? And then the other droid says, maybe it's just another, and you're expecting him to say, maybe it's just another drill.
Yeah.
But it gets cut off. And And I was saying it along in my head. I was like, oh, they're gonna do some fan service where he says, oh, maybe it's just another drill. But
Yeah.
it says maybe it's just another, and then they got like shot or blown up or something like that. So I was pretty happy with that. All right,
Oh my god.
let's see if Harris is here. Let's see if he's here. No, his dresser is here. Harris's dresser is here. We'll wait till he comes into the show.
This guy, who is it? Faela says, "Nice.
This
What
is
speaker
Mark.
did you? Oh, Mark. What speaker did you choose? The one I sent is a JBL from Zimmer.
Yeah, well, the JBL is what I want to put in the pommel, and I actually had to end up. Let me show you. I'm still in the middle of like the reason why I kind of got halted at this stage was because I need to grind out this a little more for the way I want that JBL. I want this to go on the end of his hilt here. Gabe, I think you saw this one in person. This is the one that's got the leather.
Yeah,
It's got the leather on it, and it kind of like these parts are interchangeable with the Saber Forge. Remember where we kind of were playing with it? So this I actually need to board out a little more to make that second speaker fit inside there. But the alternate for the JBL is a special speaker that I found on, well, I didn't find it. Jedi Arms Dealer found it on eBay, and it's like your speaker rating for this JBL is 4 ohms, 2 watt. And I actually have the other one from Jedi Arms Dealer from eBay. What he found on eBay is a 2 watt 8 ohm, which he said would be better for the Profi. He's like my one of my Profi expert friends.
Yeah.
So either I'm gonna try the JBL first, and I got the first speaker installed already, and then see. Oh, let's see if Harris is coming in here. I don't know. Now I saw him, and now I see his dresser again. Harris, what are you doing? He's getting ready in the bathroom.
Going to the bathroom.
All right, we're gonna get you in a second. I told you, Gabe. What did I tell you before we started?
Yeah, you're right. He said he'd be in the bathroom. That's a Jedi prophecy right there.
About episode 1 again with the Clone Wars Season 7, Episode 1, it's called The Bad Batch. The one other thing I noticed that I kind of didn't like the way they did this one little aspect was that Commander Cody got injured. And he was like lying there, and they're like, he's injured. And I felt like that was a missed opportunity for a little suspense. Because, whenever we're seeing these like intermediary stories where it's like in between some other things that we've seen, where we know Commander Cody is in episode 3, so he's injured, okay, but he's not in any danger, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why not make Rex or somebody else hurt? So you're like, oh, is he gonna survive? Because we know Commander Cody survived. So that was just one little thing I kind of noticed. But like I said, the animation that was going on with the ships, the overheads, and the planetary battles, and whenever they showed like any kind of ship, I thought that is where the 3D animation for this show really, really is shining. That's what's going on with that. Episode 2, I kind of felt like if you can remember, because I don't know if I would have remembered the different episodes, so that's why I kind of wrote a couple things down. But in episode 2, like, how Dave Filoni's always been interested in these wolves? Like, he's always got wolves and stuff.
Yeah.
And you know how Game of Thrones started back in, 2011? They came out with the show, but the books have been there since 1996, right? Mm-hmm. And the main people in the show are the Starks. They're based off of wolves. And then there's other group of family in the show, the Targaryens. They got dragons, right? So their representative for their family is dragons. You got the others are wolves. I always kind of thought like he got the wolves thing from Game of Thrones, Mm-hmm. And I feel like episode 2 really solidified that he likes Game of Thrones because they had dragons in it, and the dragons, like sometimes when someone got off the dragon or climbed up on the dragon, I felt like that looks like Game of Thrones. You know, that looks like the Targaryens or something like that. So
yeah, I personally like the animation on Clone Wars more than I like the Rebels animation. That's just me personally, though. And after watching Clone Wars, all I gotta ask is probably the same question or desire everyone else has had: is where the hell is our Ahsoka Tano movie? That's what we need right now.
What are you expecting?
No,
Rosario Dawson to be in a live action movie, or
no, I'm not. I don't care who it is. I'm just saying, like, after seeing this, they definitely need to make an Ahsoka movie, man. She deserves her own movie, live action movie. You know.
Harris, did your saber fall in? That's what somebody wanted to know.
Did it get wet?
in the potty?
Yeah.
Barry says, "Hope he didn't get his saber wet."
It's waterproof.
That's hilarious.
Harris,
I don't even have my
watched,
saber with me. It's upstairs.
I watched a couple of these Clone Wars episodes. I watched like 4 episodes.
But you're not done with it yet.
Yeah. Did you finish watching the whole new season?
Is it over? It's not over yet, is it?
Yeah. Today was the last episode.
There's another one tonight, I thought.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's already aired.
I didn't see tonight's yet.
Yeah, I saw it this morning.
I did not see tonight's yet.
Yeah, I'm about in the middle of it. Gabe, what is there, like 7 or 8 episodes?
It's 10 episodes.
10 episodes. Okay, I thought I was about halfway, but okay, 10 episodes.
All right, I'll watch it tonight after I get done with you guys.
Yeah,
I'll go watch it.
Real badass. You're gonna like it.
In episode 3, they're still dealing with that first group of clones that they met in the first episode called the Bad Batch.
Yeah,
and now Anakin's with them, and that's where they kind of find that Echo guy toward the end, where he's like, to me, I kind of thought it looked almost like the Borg from Star Trek, where he's becoming, right, Harris? He's kind of and because he was all whiter, he was like whiter too than he was.
Part robotic, yeah. He's got the ports all over his head to plug them in.
And I don't know what his accident was, or like how they found him, but he did have like replaced, or he had like cut off body parts here too. So do you think that happened in whatever like explosion or whatever that, or do you think that like I don't know if they did that as like part of the process of whatever they were doing.
I missed that too. I didn't see that. I didn't notice that they talked about that. But he was cool. I liked how, was it Cody that remembered, like realized who he was because of the pattern in something? There was a pattern in something that him and Cody were working on in the past.
Yeah.
The tactical warfare or whatever patterns and ideas he had.
It's been a few weeks since I've seen it, but
It seems like
they did that.
Kind of stepped up the explosion graphics and animations. You know, every season of this seems to get a little bit more advanced as far as the tightness of those CGI or whatever. It's starting to become really, really nice. I mean, I don't know is this the end of the Clone Wars for good, I guess?
Yeah, and it's over.
Okay, so this is like as far as they're going to take this animation style, I guess, at least for Clone Wars. Maybe they move it over for something else or utilize it for something else. I was telling Gabe before that I think they could make some kind of feature length thing with this type of animation, and this the sabers look great to me. Like I haven't seen too many of the saber fights yet because I'm only on episode 4. I don't think I saw anyone like actually fight like saber to saber yet, but they're doing it's like Mace Windu and Obi-Wan versus droids. I thought it was kind of interesting that like Mace Windu, I actually thought that could have been goofy, but I actually thought that was interesting how Mace Windu kind of gave the droids an ultimatum, or gave them an opportunity for surrendering. Wasn't that strange? But that was kind of like the Jedi way, though, even though they weren't living beings. I get what he was saying. Like, he's like, we could reprogram you for, I guess, Republic use, and they're like, blast them. They didn't care.
Yeah, exactly.
They obviously don't have that type of programming to be able to, discern, I guess, like
Yeah.
a thought process to change their viewpoints or whatever. But I guess he had to try, and even Obi-Wan said, "Well, I guess it was worth a try." You know, it's just a couple words spoken, a little bit of a delay in our process of like war here. It's worth a try.
Yeah.
Harris is back. I think. Let's see if his.
Probably lost signal or something.
I lost the sound.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't get the sound back. Now it's working.
Armando's here. What's going on, Armando?
What's going on? Happy Friday, brother. Thanks for joining in.
Ardmore Spy Shop. What's going on? Thanks for joining in.
That Ardmore Spy Shop's my buddy Scott. What's up, Scott?
Oh.
Well, he asked you
doing,
why doesn't that dude turn his camera landscape? I think he's talking about he doesn't realize you're on your phone, Hesh, and not on a computer.
Harris told me that his friend had a spy shop. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Scott.
Yeah.
Ken of the Hill 3, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yeah, like I thought when they had episode 4 too, they were continuing the storyline in the Clone Wars of those troopers, the Bad Bunch, a little bit where they had that guy Echo now, and I think it was still the Bad Bunch was with him. I'm not sure, but the Echo guy was there, and he was like hacking into all the stuff. I really thought that now it kind of sort of looked like it was part Borg, part Matrix, like where they kind of draw the influence from for that guy, right? It was like Matrix a little bit, where he was like Neo, and he was communicating.
Didn't they put a thing on his arm like what comes out of R2, so he can plug in and interface into all the stuff?
I think his arm was like, wasn't it already kind of chopped off and it had that on it? I don't know, like from the.
Who are you talking about, Echo?
Yeah, from the people that were doing experiments.
Yeah, he looks like he came straight out of that Alita movie, man.
Oh, right. Yeah. That's true, too. It kind of
yeah,
like
he
that.
was part human, part robot, and mechanical, and all that stuff. Yeah.
What's going on, Mundo? Mundo's in the chat.
What's up, Mundo?
Thanks for being here.
And you said you had an unboxing or something?
Oh, yeah. I want to show you guys this these Saber parts that Harris and I ordered. Well, I think Harris turned me on to this. Harris, what's the name of the place that I got these crystal chamber parts for, those partial discs? And
you know what? I got it's in my phone. I forget, and I got to look at my phone. You want me to tune out, check, and go back?
No. We'll just I'll open it up.
Totally forget. Yeah, we'll do it before the end. Great. I've been getting these chassis parts off of Etsy. You bought it. You bought a few, huh? Ant?
Yeah, you know how you had told me there was like, the 1-inch versions that worked for certain crystal chambers, and there was a 7/8 version, and we kind of needed both.
Right.
I think I placed, this little envelope right here. This was like $170. I'll show you what's in here, you guys. It's just little tiny Saber parts. They're little tiny metal chassis. Disc spacers, I guess is what you call it. It would be
the spacers, the top pieces and the bottom pieces to do your crystal chambers. And you can modify them. Like that's what I've been doing. I've been buying the rings, and I've been cutting the rings and making half circles. And if you do it like this, you get chassis spacers or fins. They call them chassis fins. Let's see, Ann. Hold it up close to the camera.
Okay, these are from Skywampa. I don't know why that was hard for me to remember. Skywampa.
I can't remember it.
It's
I've ordered a few tons from them.
It's from overseas, so it's not from United States. I think. Where did it come from, Harris? It came from the UK. Okay, so Skywampa's in the UK. These are really, really interesting. Harris turned me on to these. I think he found them on Etsy originally, and this is probably where we got them. We're direct from like the Skywampa Etsy store. These are, let me make my screen a little bigger here so you guys can see.
Can't wait to get my hands on those, Ant.
Those are like the chassis spacers?
Yeah, they're the tops and the bottoms and the spacers on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Harris, take a look. Like, is this what we need? So those are like the tops.
Yep.
We had a couple crystal chambers that we need to do. Some of these, I guess, are 7/8 or something.
Yeah, we bought a few different, like 1-inch and then 7/8, I think, to make different chassis.
Some of these
did you get any of the rings? Did you get any of the rings
There's some
where they're
half
open.
rings that are
Yeah,
open.
yeah,
Doesn't
yeah.
look
Cool.
like it. Wait, did I get like? Are those what you were talking
They
about?
look good. Yep.
Plus,
Yep.
you
Are they
said you can.
7/8 or 1 inch?
They look like the 1 inch,
1 inch.
and I
Okay,
think I
because that's
got
what.
both. There's some over here too.
Okay, because
And some
that's
of them are
kind of.
doubled up.
They also had the full circle ones that were like a ring with holes lined up. And what I did is I just cut out a section on them. I modified the ones I got on the ring ones to use as my chassis fins that would back up the crystal behind it, or in between it, in between the top and the bottom. Yep.
Nice, because
Nice.
we
Good
got a
pieces.
couple crystal chambers that we were in the process of making that this kind of stopped us from moving forward, right? So
Yeah.
now that we have that, we can get that going. So that was kind of nice.
Yep.
You know, I was lying in bed thinking of these the other night. You know, sometimes I'll think of like an international package that's coming, and I'll be like, is that package, you know, in coming, or is it going to be delayed because of this whole crisis thing? And
Yep.
and then when it arrived, I was super, super surprised because I actually like really, you know, seeing what you do with these, with the crystal chamber. It ends up looking
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah,
I
they do.
have,
They're nice
I wanted
pieces.
to grab, yeah, I wanted to grab something and show you in a bit. It's a, you know, I got a package from Custom Saber Shop the other day. You know how they're kind of out of a lot of stuff right now? I don't know. There was some
Yeah.
kind of rumors we're talking about of why they're out of everything, or is it just because of everyone's home and ordering all this stuff?
I would say a lot of delayed shipping for various reasons from China, that kind of stuff.
Oh,
You know?
right. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Especially for like electronic stuff, right? Is that
Okay.
probably
Yep.
the thing? But I got a
I would
package
say
the
so.
other day that was like it's kind of funny. Like the MHS parts are decimated on the Custom Saber Shop. Like there's like nothing. There's nothing there. But when I was placing an order for some other stuff, I needed some like blade tubes and stuff. So I was placing an order. I was like, let me just see what's available, like MHS wise, that we could you know use for something.
Sure.
And I ordered a couple pieces that I'd never seen before. They're like, I thought they were emitter blanks that I was like, we could definitely use these. These are awesome. And I ordered 2 of them for like a double saber,
cool.
or like a saber that we make 2 of. But
Okay.
when they came, they're like, you know what they are? They're blanks for a rib section. So if you could imagine that, like they have only enough space down the center for a 18650 battery, but it's the full width of an MHS part V1 with all that aluminum around that we could carve and do
Clean
something,
up.
right? Isn't that interesting, right? So keep your mind thinking about what you might do with a part like that. Also, I got like the only thing left was like a 3-inch extension. You know, I'd put a 4-inch extension in my cart for V1.
Right.
I
Right.
go to the cart to pay. It was gone. So I go
that
back,
fast.
gone that fast. So I go back, and this is about a week ago. I go back to the store. The only single MHS parts that are left is like a couple things. One of them was a 3-inch extension. So I got the 3-inch extension, and that ended up completing a little bit of a hilt that I had. So let me, I think Gabe.
Yeah,
disconnected.
sometimes, I mean, I've seen people take like 2 or 3 of the 3-inch sections and put them together. And by doing that, you know, if you do 3 of the 3-inch sections, it'll make a 9-inch piece. And that gives you that, you know, that little seam where the 2 pieces go together. That'll give you a nice space to have a decorative line, like we would carve lines in, but it gives you that line. Or also, it gives you an ability to maybe add a trim ring in that section if you wanted to do that with some of the MHS stuff.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah.
Like there's kind of ways around it when there is some stuff available, but I'm telling you now that everything's completely decimated.
Go on.
Like unless you've got some parts at home already that you can build with, or a kit like a hilt kit, it's going to be tough because there's, like I said, there's basically nothing. There's a couple like threaded interchange pieces. That's about it right now, but hopefully at some point.
Yeah, when was our last show? A week ago? I actually haven't looked at MHS this week, so I'm actually shocked. But I mean, that's the way it is right now. You know, everything's hard to get your hands on anymore.
This is funny. Your buddy Scott says, Harris, it looks like you're sitting in the Millennium Falcon's engine room, and I kind of feel like I'm in the Falcon, but I put you in the engine room
You're in
because
the
there's
bridge.
something that's got to be fixed out there or something like
Nice.
that. So that's why Harris
Nice.
is back there.
Nice.
Yeah, those Barry, those little parts. You know how much they were? These little parts right here. These are like $8 each. Right, Harris? They were like $6.50 to $8 each, and this package ended up being like 175 bucks. And,
sure, and you could easily use 10 pieces,
right,
just for the basis of it, and that's $80 alone right there. You know?
I just thought that was kind of wild because see, like before I had you starting to help me with the crystal chambers and making like a fancier crystal chamber, I was doing my own. If ever I did a crystal chamber like kind of on the cheap, or however I did it was maybe like a Shapeways plastic part, right, or something like that. When you started doing them for me and doing them with metal, and which I really like that way, I realized that just adding that crystal chamber does add a lot of cost to the build when you're going to do it really nice, you know, and when you're going to do like really nice job, and that I wanted to point that out tonight when I got that package today. I was like, oh, I'll open this tonight when everyone can see that. Like, isn't that weird that those little parts just, you know, because the machining and the, you know, the way that they're designed, that's just how much they are. $6, $7, $8 each.
In all fairness, I want to say something to you too. When I first saw those parts, I really liked them, and I tried to emulate it. And by emulating, what I did is I went to Home Depot, and one thing I like about Home Depot and Lowe's are the drawers that they have in the hardware aisle. You can pull those drawers out. It reminds me of the old days going to Radio Shack, and you could pull the drawers out at Radio Shack, and you know, there's all little spaces in there, little LEDs, little trinkets you can go through. So I actually bought a couple fender washers, which are big, round, thick, heavy, flat pieces, and tried to drill into them on my drill press. Only I realized that they're steel.
Oh.
It is not easy. I couldn't get one. I think I went through two. I'm looking at the drill press. I think I went through 2 drill bits just trying to drill one hole.
These
couldn't
kind of
get
feel heavy. Like, are these aluminum?
They are. I believe they're steel.
This baggie feels kind of heavy, so I guess.
Yeah, I believe they are all steel, Ant. They're going to add. You know, the more you use, the more weight you got. Just that there alone is going to add some nice heft to the hilt. So if, you know, for me, I mean, I don't want something so heavy that it's hard to control, but I like when I pick up a lightsaber, you know, I'm a firearms guy too. So if I pick up even a Glock 9mm Model 17 that happens to be polymer, is lightweight, but it still feels like it has some solidity to it and some heft when you hold it. And that's what I like to feel when I pick up a lightsaber, you know? Really good stuff. And a crystal chamber made out of all steel and metal parts. It's going to give you some nice solid weight in the middle of the saber there.
Yeah, and that'll be good counterbalance, like for whatever blade. Sure. Armando says, "Hey guys, I have a question in regards to Neopixel. Other than the part with the pins, is the rest of the electronics like a regular build, or do you need other parts that are for Neopixel?" Well, you have the part in the emitter, like you said, with the pins. So you have that. Then you'll have the 3 wires running down from that part. So that's a little better to start rather than having 6 wires or whatever you've got for your LED. So in a sense, that's easier, right? So you got 3 wires running down. You probably need a slightly better battery than you would before for like in hilt. You probably need like more current if you can. You want like literally a flashlight battery, like a Nightcore is a great brand. That's the one Harris has got in his saber. That's the one Mark, if Mark is still here, that's the one we used in Mark's saber. And I'm glad we did, because at the time I didn't realize that Mark Fael in the chat here, I didn't realize that Mark wanted TriStar. I guess I told him a couple years ago when I took his order that we didn't do the TriStar. Then he saw the TriStar and he's like, "Hey, you told me you didn't do the TriStar," but it was just like a customer a request from somebody that was almost like a prototype, right? Then we realized like, okay, it can work. The TriStar will work, but as long as it's not too long, right? It's got to stay below like 32 inches. So Mark says, "Listen, I want the TriStar." That was already after we had already put the battery in his hilt and all that, Harris. So thankfully, and the only one that will fit in there, unless I remove the chassis and do a cram foo situation, the only one that will fit is the 18650. So thankfully, we had chosen the most powerful 18650 with a night core. It's rated at 8 amps. Let me show you the thing right here. Now, some people might look at the stats and say, "Hey, that's not the best stats." But the night core has got the true stats. So this is the battery package that we used in Mark's lightsaber. It's a 3500 mAh, which is more of a true capacity when you test it. It's rated for 8 amps. So you'll say, well, a lot of those batteries out there, they say 10 amps, they say 15 amps, they say 12 amps. Well, this is the truth though. This is true 8 amps. This is like night core's not playing around. This one is for high drain devices. It says it on here. This is for the police flashlights and all the powerful flashlights. So this is actually made for if our lightsabers are high-end flashlights, like a lot of people say, fancy flashlights, a lot of people say. The night core is one of the best batteries that you can use because it's literally made for that. So there's no guesswork. Look, I've sent Gabe right to the Battery Junction website before, and you're kind of overwhelmed with all those batteries. But if you trust a couple brands, and who knows, it might come out at some point, guys, that like they'll do tests and Harris, I didn't rip off
that one you showed there. That's 18650.
Yeah.
That's 3500. mAh, you said?
Right. That's an 8 amp. What say anything else here?
The one you sent me was a 3400.
Yeah, like there's
3.7.
There's like different ones available at different times. On the different battery websites. Sometimes there's been trusted battery websites that I shopped at multiple times, and then I go there, and almost everything that I expected isn't there anymore. So it's just like the batteries, they kind of changed. This model number for this battery is called NL1835HP, and that's the same one that Harris got in his Saber. He's super, super happy.
Amazing runtime I'm getting off of that battery.
Yeah,
amazing runtime.
I'm kind of hoping that so about Mark Saber, what I was doing was I built him it was around the time when Harris and I completed before I took it apart again. When Harris and I made it the first time, about a week after that, I made Mark an enhanced blue, 2 strips. So it's not a TriStar, just a standard enhanced blue, I had made it fit his hilt because the emitter had to be sanded for about 3 inches it's a very, very tight emitter for the blade to go in. When we had the conversation about the TriStar, and he actually prefers the Photon green, right? So I'm in the process. I got a TriStar in the works with the Photon green for Mark. So thankfully, we got that great battery in there. So Armando definitely put that great battery in there, that like whatever the best one you could get, and then the rest of the wiring I would say is the same as if you were doing, like if you're using a Profi or you're using a CF10, it would probably
the only
be the
thing
same
different. The only thing different I want to add, I wish I had some paper. I don't have paper down here, but I would add the big difference between the older style crystal focus and the Neopixel style, the CFX, is that it's the negative coming off of the main pads off of the POGO pins, come down and split into three, if I can do it, 3 different spots on the board. And they're all up on that. When you're looking at the board and the chip is facing you, they're in that upper left-hand corner, if I'm not mistaken.
There's actually
got, like,
4.
1, 2,
yeah, like
4,
that's
4.
like a wiring difference, right? So like he will wire it that certain way. And it's good that you bring up the wiring, because I thought you were actually going to say that he needed like this 26 or the 24 gauge wire, right?
Yeah,
Something
you
a
want
little
that wire a
meatier
little
for
thicker.
Neopixel.
Yes, so make sure
And-
you use wire thick enough for that, Armando, that will draw that proper power through the wire. If you use like a 30, it was a 30 gauge, I think, is too small. It doesn't transport the power through the wire properly to give the blade enough to keep it going. It might light right at halfway maybe, or just really dim if I'm not mistaken, if you're not using the proper wiring.
Well, you could you just like kind of run the risk of like those wires like burning up. You have a lot of current running through there. Like whatever battery you've got, like that 8 amp or 10 amp or whatever 15 amp battery, it's got a lot of current in there. Sometimes if you get the 26650, like Nightcore will make a 26650, or I've used like Phoenix brand or different brands of 26650 for some lightsabers before, and those have like 15 amps. And there was one time when I doubled them up. I doubled up. I think I talked to you guys before when I made Paul's lightsaber. He was going to direct traffic with it down in Notre Dame, and he needed a lot of runtime in his Neopixel. So I put two 26650s, 15 amps each, and ended up being 30 and 30 amp build. And so you just had to make sure that the wiring was like
It's a lot of juice.
Was like not going to burn up.
And you said that model number is NL 1835.
And then it's got an HP at the end, yeah.
I'm trying to find it.
Is that still available? Or it could have been since it's from Mark Saber, that's been in the works for a while. I could have ordered that battery, 9 months to a year ago. That could have been.
No, but I'm talking about the one you have there. That's the 18650.
Yeah.
Oh, it has HP on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see that on here. I'm trying to look up all the Nightcore batteries to see.
Wouldn't this be nice? Mark says he's hoping TCSS will restock for May 4th and have a sale. Wouldn't that be awesome? Because, I just checked right before the show and to see if they had a Crystal Focus 10, to see if they had other like MHS parts in, and they're still out of the Crystal Focus 10.
Wow.
That sucks.
Yeah, it's a big sale for them. I mean, considering, everybody waits till May the 4th to dump their money into the TCSS,
Yeah.
Eric Etsy says, what's up, guys? Hey, Harris, it's Cricker. Is that one of your buddies, Harris? He says, hey, Harris, it's Cricker. Is that one of your buddies?
Yes, Cricket?
Maybe
Did you spell it wrong? Is it Cricket? I have a buddy named Cricket.
Oh, probably. Maybe there's a little typo there.
Is it Eric?
Yeah, Eric Etsy, yeah.
My buddy Eric. Yeah, it's my buddy Eric. What's up, Eric? Eric actually used to roadie for me back in the day. He was my buddy that was kind enough to help me come and carry my drums.
Nice.
My boy Eric. What's up? Now he's a professional truck driver, and he told me I can't afford him. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I can't afford him to help me carry my drums anymore.
Steve is here from ST Productions. What's going on,
Steve? What's up, buddy?
I was thinking about you earlier. He says, hey, Jens, good to see you again. I haven't been around much. I've been working like crazy. Wow, that stinks.
Same.
Hopefully you're making a lot of money. Hopefully you're doing something fun. I forget what Steve does for work.
Oh, I got something I want to talk to you guys about. The past few shows that we've had, we have talked about the Black Mamba. I'm going to bring it up again, Ant. Did you see? I tagged you in a link from Vader's Vault. I guess it was Alan is making adapter pieces that you can put in a lightsaber that will turn the lightsaber into a spoon, a pizza cutter, and he put the pizza cutter into the Black Mamba saber, and he's cutting the pizza. And I was like mind blown when I saw that. I was like, this guy's using an $8,000 lightsaber to cut a pizza. Yeah. And there was talk. I don't know if he's actually making the parts for sure, but Alan was like, I think he
I
was
thought that
playing
was
with
a
the
joke.
idea.
I took it as a joke. I
Okay.
took that whole post thing as a joke, like that.
A few
It was just
were like,
like,
I want one, you know?
oh, really? Okay, well,
Yeah.
it would make sense for like an Ultra Sabers or just like a saber that you write is like a cheap saber that you don't care if you got
Yeah.
like,
A
pizza grease on, spill,
A
yeah,
beater,
like
yeah.
spilled your drink on. But that was
I would
funny.
not-
I thought I didn't think that was like they were being real, like being realistic with that.
Yeah, I would not want to slice a pizza with an $8,000 lightsaber. No, thank you. Not my thing.
That's hilarious.
Steve's glad to be working rather than sitting around watching the news. Yeah, like that
True,
could get you
true,
into
Steve,
trouble. That
true.
could get you into like a depression spiral if you sit in front of watching the news. Like I make the mistake of this is what I do every night. It's a huge mistake, but this is what I do anyway. The only contact I really have with the news is like right before I go to bed, like really late, I will watch one of the news reports from like the 6 p.m. news report that they'll post. A few hours later at like midnight, they'll post it, or at 1 a.m. and I'll watch that from the day before just to see where we're at with this whole thing. But
Right.
that's probably not the best thing to do when you go to sleep, but it's probably better than in the first thing in the morning. I don't want to get my day started with it, but I don't mind like just hearing what is going on, and then I try to forget about it. I go to sleep.
Yeah, I watch the news sometimes. My little brother's a Philly cop, so sometimes he'll call me up and say, "Hey, something happened. Turn on the news." But I try to stay away from the news. And if my buddy Scott's still here, he can vouch for it because he's a news bug. That's all he does is watch the news, not me. But he's smarter than I am, so.
Smart people could probably like, partition the different things.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, it just like it's difficult. It pervades, and it's usually bad news. What they've been trying to do with this whole thing, since it literally is bad news, like most of the time, is that they'll end the show, they'll end the broadcast with some kind of like reach for good
Positive.
news. Some kind of like like what did these kids do, or like are the like just some kind of goofy thing at the end. But
Yeah. I'm just not a fan of the news. I don't even like my buddy Scott. He likes to watch Bill Maher. I'm not a fan of that stuff. It just brings me down.
I'll be right
Brings
back. One
me down.
second. I want to grab a saber to show you guys.
Nope. So Gabe, I'm loving your few lately new little gadget toys you got going on. Have you talked yet about any of your puppetry stuff?
Nah, Earl has his own Instagram right now, and I'm working on the new one next.
Love it.
Working on the new one next. Yeah, man.
Love it. They look great, dude.
Yeah, man. My wife did an awesome job with them, man. Kept her busy and productive during this lockdown time, and it's sort of a therapy, but it came out awesome, man.
I can't wait to put my hand up Kermit's ass and make his mouth move.
Yeah, man. She's already getting people wanting to order them.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That's great.
If I can convince her to start building sabers now, then we're talking, She loves to tinker, man.
The only thing that freaked me out a little bit, and I realized, but at first when I saw the two Kermits together, one was missing feet. And I was like, did Kermit get in like a train accident or something? Lost his feet? But then I realized that was the one she was still working on.
Yeah, that's the incomplete one. That's the incomplete one. She's still got to put the eyes, sitting right here in front of me. The hands.
So
and
funny.
Feet.
I'll show it off, man.
Was that one Kermit before the one that Gigi made?
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's got one complete and one is incomplete.
Look good.
Yeah, it's pretty decent.
Looks absolutely fabulous.
I thought that looked better than Jeffrey.
I want a Kermit. Put me in for a Kermit. I want a Kermit in the works.
You want a Kermit? I was just telling Harris if I can convince her to make sabers.
You guys know I have an Elmo, right?
Then I have this guy. Hey guys!
Is that Jeffrey? I don't remember what he looks like.
No, that's
not
one.
Jeffrey.
This is another one she made.
What's his name?
I don't have a name for him yet, but I'm gonna do one.
Don't forget.
Can you maneuver the eyes on this one?
No, not this one. Look.
Elmo's lonely, dude.
We're men of many traits, many talents.
I can't find the camera. Here.
Stay.
There's my Elmo.
Oh, that's a huge Elmo. That's an
Yo,
Elmo that
he's
could like hurt somebody.
next to me.
That thing's like
He's,
almost 4 feet tall.
Yeah, he's about 4 foot tall.
That's a larger than real life Elmo.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how big the actual Elmo is. I'll tell you what I did with that one. When I made that that's 20 years old now. I made that for my kid when she was a baby. She loved Elmo, and I made her an Elmo. But the way I did it, I started with the head sculpt, basically. Oops, hang on, I lost you guys. I started with the head work, basically. First thing I did was I took 2 flat pieces of balsa wood, and I put a hinge on the balsa wood so that the 2 pieces could open and close. And then I strapped a belt over the top of the balsa wood so you can put your hand in and you can open and close the mouth and the face that way.
Yeah.
You know? And then what I did, once I had that little round trim to the wood, then I started laying foam in, pieces of foam, trimming out, and I was using just an Elmer's white glue to hold the foam together. In fact, I still have some of the foam.
I thought you was gonna say I still have some of the Elmer's glue. I'm like, dude, nobody gives a shit about Elmer's glue.
No, that'd be bad. But
I
still got some of the glue I used 2 years ago.
There's the foam. It's just I'm just using 1-inch craft foam, and I sculpted the head, and so I went off of the head to base the body, you know. And it is probably a little big. I mean, by far is it an actual, you know, exactly like the actual Elmo. Hey, trivia: who can name the guy that does Elmo? Who's the voice of Elmo? I can.
I never knew.
I don't know.
Kevin
I never
Clash.
had that knowledge.
Kevin Clash is his name.
Well, Kevin is
voice
the former one. That they got a new one now, I think.
Oh, they do. Yeah, I've been out. My daughter's 20 now.
Yeah.
She don't care about Elmo anymore. Now she cares about booze.
Look, somebody put Sesame Street Sabers. Yeah, they're Muppet Jedi. That's what they are.
Nice.
Oh my God.
Harris made that Elmo in the back room of my shop.
Of the spy shop.
That says.
You built it in the back room of the spy shop.
Was I doing that there? I don't remember.
That's what Scott is saying. That you built it in the back room of the spy shop.
Harris,
I
check
might
out
have done
this.
pieces of it there.
I think I got your next project right here. This is what I did with that 3-inch piece from the custom saber shop is right down here.
Okay.
Before I had that, I just had the this like choke piece.
Yeah.
And then this piece is like super old. This came from my buddy Dan. I think he gave this to me. See this piece that we can put a crystal chamber in?
That's
amazing.
It
looks like a gear, right? It looks like one of the gear pieces, like from a Obi, right?
I think he said it was an old Ultra Sabers piece. Okay. And then look at this emitter. So this is an old emitter, I think. And I made like a pod for it that could be like a Neopixel pod. And so this is like bare, and it's got this pommel. And it's very bare right here, but I want to do layers of shrouds, right?
So I was just going to say, that emitter needs some shroud work on it, man.
Yeah.
I'll show you. Let me show you this drawing. See if you get it. So see the green? The green lines are the first layer of shroud.
Right.
And then the red lines are the second layer of shroud. You see how I do a double bunny ears like I've done one time before
on each side.
Cross guard, kind of like a Ahsoka thing. But you see the level 1 MHS shroud could be like almost like a Graflex look, but I want to do like harsher corners. Like I don't want it to be rounded like the saber that you've recently made, but more like everything like squared off.
Gotcha.
Then a ring over right underneath the crystal chamber, and then a whole MHS. And let me show you guys. If you guys don't know,
so
the
the crystal chamber is going to fit in that gear piece, basically, right?
Yeah, and the one thing I was thinking, like, what if in the gear section, it's enough room for a blade?
Oh, that's open. I just realized that's open. I'm on my phone, and it's very tiny, the photo. I saw your thumb behind it as you were spinning it. I like that. I didn't realize that was open. So when we put the crystal chamber in there, you'll be able to see the whole crystal chamber from all sides, basically.
Yeah, and I had the other thought too that like the crystal chamber could be in a piece of blade tube stock that you kind of build the crystal chamber in, lit by a Neopixel LED on the top and bottom, and then you've got your little metal stuff going on in there. And so we can light up, like, assuming that we utilize, like, let's say, I don't know if this is the right call, but let's say it's like enhanced blue piece of blade stock tube right in there, and we do like an enhanced blue blade. We could put a little light, some little LEDs below that too, to kind of ignite the
crystal chamber thing.
Like, yeah, the whole tube that's around the crystal chamber, and then the crystal chamber lights up with the blade color, with the Neopixels.
I gotcha.
And then around the grip, like a whole string of 10, like to match up with this part, align like 10 grips along with every single cutout here.
The fin on
the
it.
Bottom, yeah, like
Nice.
over top of the. This is an MHS shroud.
So you would
material.
make the grips out of the shroud material, right?
Right, like, but so
Okay.
put the shroud material like over the handle, and then grips on top of that. So it'd be a very meaty handle with a very
Mm-hmm.
dainty choke. Like the choke will end up looking very thin when this is very meaty.
Yeah.
Right. So that was my idea for a project that you could kind of take the lead on whenever we get back together. You know, you could do that for fun.
Yeah,
as like something.
If we ever get back together the way the world is right now.
I know, right?
Crazy.
It better happen. Oh,
Crazy.
thanks, Mark. This is very detailed and cool.
Yeah, so that piece came from an Ultra Sabers, huh?
Yeah, but I'm talking like probably 13 or 14 years ago, Ultra Sabers.
Wow. And it threaded up nice with the MHS, right?
Well, Ultra Sabers did that without permission. They made their stuff MHS compatible, even though like TCSS doesn't like that. That's what happened there.
Have you heard that for a fact that they don't like it? Can I quote you on that?
No, I haven't heard that for a fact. I guess I'm just like insinuating that they probably don't like that, because I guess there's just like
I do know, I've heard people talk that the thread and size and the thread spacing on TCS is very proprietary, and they don't want to share that. You know, I've heard that.
I've heard that, so that's kind of why I speculate that they don't like when you copy it. I've also heard people say on the forums and stuff, like I've heard certain people say, well, they don't have a trademark on that or a patent on that size. So I get that viewpoint as well. Like I can see it from all sides, you know, but I'm kind of like, I almost thought I had my TCSS hat on. I was going to say I'm always on TCSS's side, but I actually don't have their hat on right now. I'm always on TCSS's side.
Yeah, well, like I've said before, I don't know if I've said it on one of our chats. I think I have, but Tim has been nothing but nice to me for multiple years now that we've been doing this. Tim is an absolute great guy, and I think I met Emery one time in person at a convention, and he wasn't such a nice fellow.
Who's that?
That's all. I believe it was Emery. It was Emery
Sabers
from Ultra Sabers, yeah.
Okay.
So I don't knock them. I have their pieces, but you know his attitude really shied me away from the company.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of know some other things, like for instance, like what he did to my friend Novistar wasn't cool either, at all. So I don't like them for like multiple reasons.
Was that a font situation? Is that what that was?
Yeah. I basically, let's put it this way. I never hear anything good. I never hear anything good. You know, other than like people get their sabers. That's what I hear.
From Ultra Sabers you're talking about?
Right.
And fast.
Well, I don't know about fast or anything, but I guess I'm talking about Ultra Sabers, and you could lump in Saber Forge in there too. You know what I mean? It's like I've not heard anything good. I've not heard anything good.
And I want to, because we kind of talked about this last week, but I went to a convention in Philly with my son, and Ultra Sabers had a booth set up, and they had, it was a big booth. It was probably, I'm going to say 12 to 15 foot by 15 foot by 12 foot, kind of. It was like a rectangle or a square. And they had a nice operation. I'm going to tell you what they did. You know, they had all their sabers on shelves, and you could walk over and pull the saber off the shelf and look at it, and hanging off the saber is a price tag. The only thing you could pick was the blade size. I think the blade size. They would cut the blade for you if you wanted it shorter, and the color of the blade. But once you picked your saber, that saber body was sitting under their shelving on their side of this square area that they had their booth, and they would pull the saber out. It was empty, and then they'd hand the saber. And behind the booth, they had about 4 guys on a workbench. So you basically put your order in right there. You'd say, okay, I want this hilt with this color, and you pay for it, and you would go continue to walk around the convention, and he'd tell you, come back in an hour, and you go back, and the saber was built. Now, the reason I laid that whole long story out, Ant, I don't know about you, but have you ever built a saber in 1 hour?
Well, they must have certain things like pre-wired. So when you have the board that they use, like the Ultra Sabers style board, it's already I mean, they even have it covered in like a black tape as if like you can't solder to it if you wanted to. I think it's just like they have that module. They probably got a couple wires coming off of it. They make them connect the wires, and then they screw on the bottom and whatever they do.
I'm going to tell you that
probably kind of all set up already.
I said one word to the guy. I said Plector Labs, or 2 words, I should say. I'm sorry. And he like lost his marbles. He went absolutely ballistic. And I still bought a saber from him because my son was with me, and my son wanted one of their sabers. I took it home. I think it lasted, I don't know, a month. Stopped working. That was it. So we got it. You rebuilt that saber, Ant.
Yeah, I remember that.
You rebuilt that for my son.
Yeah, I
remember that.
Yeah. So, you know, take it for what it's worth. But, you know, like, I consider us to be saber builders, sabersmiths, right? You guys agree?
Yes, I do.
I just, you know, I mean, I don't know. If you're a doctor and another doctor enters the room, do you cop an attitude towards them? Or do you say, hey, doc, how'd you do that last surgery? How'd that work out? You know?
But I don't think that those guys would consider themselves sabersmiths. They would probably say that I'm a businessman.
Oh, well, I'm going to tell you
from what I heard about like Phil over at Saberforge, I've read a lot of his communique with like on Facebook with customers. Like when a customer complains and he might write back to them in an email or something, and then the person posts it. I mean, it's awful. It's awful.
I've seen a lot of that too. It's very nasty
you don't
comments.
talk to like your enemies this way, and he will talk to the customers this way that are like supporting the business and have bought something, and they're like, hey, like my switch doesn't work, can I send it back? And like you'll hear this response. It's like it just doesn't warrant a type of response of a ferocious like lion attack that happens when they respond to the customer. It's wild.
Well, what I want to tell you is, you know, I was really trying to, I was kind of new. I'm going back years. I was kind of new, not new, but, you know, I was building sabers. And I said to him, I said, so what do you think of Plector Labs? And he went ballistic. And the first thing he said to me is, let me tell you something. I make millions of dollars by selling lightsabers every year. And Plector Labs don't have nothing on us. I said, okay, all right. I'm sorry I asked, you know. He went absolutely ballistic. Uncalled for, unneeded, unnecessary. And I agree with you, Ant. I've seen some of those same photographs, screenshots of some of the information on that end as well, on the Saberforge end. So it is what it is, you know.
Yeah, like
I mean,
they don't care about the sabers. They care about the money, and it kind of proves it right there when you say that. You know, the first thing he mentions is like
money.
is dollars.
Millions.
So you know, it's not like
I make millions.
And that's what he said. You know,
I make millions.
He didn't.
You know?
He didn't say I make the best sabers.
No,
Nothing.
sure didn't.
Nothing like that. Like nothing like
Nope.
I have a passion for making the best sabers. Nothing like that.
Yeah, and so let me say something to you too, Ant. I'm gonna go out on a limb, and this is a personality or a likeness thing. You know, not everybody's the same. You know, Some people like chocolate. Some people like vanilla. Even when you go into like an ASP part, like Saberforge does the ASP stuff, you know, and then you put the pieces together. To me, it still doesn't look like it came from the Star Wars lore. And I'll tell you what I think it's missing, that, you know, that personality, that little extra little bit that somebody does when they're working on something themselves that sets that piece apart from every other piece in the world, you know? Like, I'll look at a Saberforge saber, brand new, and say, it looks like a piece of metal that somebody copied. I want to take that saber, not so much roll it down the driveway, use it a little bit, add some doodads to it, you know, take some black paint off here, add some paint there. As we know, Gabe just did his saber a few weeks ago, customizing it. Gabe, again, same thing. I love that saber, but to me, when I see it now with the color on it and the work you're doing on it, I think it's beautiful, and it really comes from Star Wars lore, if you follow what I'm getting at. I don't even know if I'm an idiot.
No, you make sense. I mean, this is something we spoke about. You make perfect sense if you think about it, because this is something that we've spoken about many times before. I've said this on, I think, our first few episodes of Saber Talk when I had my first MHS. There's nothing like building your own saber from scratch or making it, as opposed, don't get me wrong, I'll buy sabers all day long from Vader's vault. I got my Mad Cow here, which you guys know I've been obsessed with for years, right? I was trying to get for years, and I love that thing to death. But it's just something, like you said, there's something about when it comes to that whole sense of, you know, the Star Wars feel of it, as a Jedi building or Sith building their own saber, making it. There's no feeling that tops that, man. And I wouldn't trade that for anything, even though I love my Mad Cow, but my Ascend. But like you said, I want to just personalize it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not done. I'm not done with that. I still want to do like a shroud and some other things to it, just to give it more character, personality, and make it my own. You know? Absolutely.
Good for you. Keep it up, man.
Yeah, like, I guess, like, you know, the nice thing about companies like Ultra Sabers and Saberforge is it's very accessible to new people. So a lot of saber people come to lightsabers through those brands. So, you know, a lot of people will, like, their first lightsaber will be an Ultra Sabers, or their first couple or 3 or 4, and then they kind of catch the bug, and then they buy a different, you know, they kind of become aware that there's this custom community out there, and then sometimes they start looking into it. So, you know, it's just sometimes when you focus in on the things that they're doing, like, for instance, I remember a bunch of years ago, Ultra Sabers was a part of FX Sabers forum, and they were one of the people on FX Sabers forum, just like everybody else was, like, you know, somebody like Irv from Plector Labs would be on FX Sabers. Alex from Ultra Sabers would be on FX Sabers. You know, Alan from Vader's Vault would be on FX Sabers. So all the different people were on FX Sabers at one point, and then Ultra Sabers made their own forum. So they kind of, you would have thought it would have been a gradual thing where they, you know, stopped posting gradually on FX, and eventually, because they had their own forum, or maybe tried to utilize both forums to promote each other. But instead, what happened was, you know, Ultra Sabers only wanted people talking about Ultra Sabers on their forum. And it also became like that policing type of thing where, you know, like on Amazon, if you see a review for a product, now I'm not saying that Amazon reviews are pure and not altered or whatever, I don't know. But there is like negative reviews on Amazon. You know, you've seen it, right? And for different products. For Ultra Sabers, they would remove those posts and things like that. So they were like promoting this, it wasn't really free, freedom in their forum. When you wanted the freedom, you
it was censored.
It was censored.
That's censorship,
Right. So like when if you wanted like the literal truth, you had to go to FX Sabers and try to listen to what people were doing on FX Sabers, but then there became kind of like a situation where it became bad to talk about Ultra Sabers on FX Sabers as well, because it just started to become like antagonistic between a lot of the members and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Gabe,
you
do
know,
you remember?
it wasn't too friendly.
Gabe, do you remember? I want to go going back a few years, but it might have been. You've had a few Ultra Sabers, if I remember. You had one where it took them, I'm gonna say what, like 3 or 4 months for them to get it to you. Was it like a Mara Jade?
That was
Saberforge, right? Yeah.
Saberforge. Okay. I remember it was probably around that time that you and I were hanging, and we were both on their Facebook page, on Saberforge's Facebook page. And do you remember them, like, left and right, like every day people would be like, I got kicked off. I got kicked off the page.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you mean people getting banned every day just for asking a question?
Yeah.
And like the silliest question, like you know, like, will your Ultra Sabers pommel fit on my Saberforge saber? Yeah, I don't know. I'm making it up, but like, I mean, and I'm not talking 4 or 5. I remember them like
lots
banning
of people,
hundreds per day.
Well, and
hundreds.
Like, well, that's the thing. Like, this is what makes me really angry inside. Like, if we're going to talk about this, like, I'll tell you what makes me upset about the whole situation is literally that they don't care about the customers. And this is a great example, Harris, because it's like me and you might have what, like 10 or 15 customers. We love the customers. We love to talk to the customers. We love to please them. Whenever I am making their product, I am thinking about them and thinking about pleasing them. That's all I want to do. When you talk about Saberforge, they've got 20,000 people on their Facebook group, so they don't care if they ban 100 people. No. But that's the wrong way to look at it. I don't want to disappoint even one person, let alone we're going to turn our back on 100 people. But just because we have 20,000 members, that's the wrong attitude. That's a bad attitude. That is an awful attitude.
Everybody is just important as the next person, and
even if there was 20,000 people, it should be like that. It's not the fact that it's such a high number that you've got these bad apples in there. All you're saying is that, and I've seen those examples, they're just asking a question, or they're saying, hey, I emailed twice. Could I get an answer?
Yeah.
It's that type of thing. And they're not
saying,
I mean, that's what happened to me.
Forget the emails. Yeah. I mean, I talked to people where the emails would go months unanswered, you know? Yeah.
I was one of those that got banned too from that page.
What did you get banned for? Do you remember, Gabe?
For that, what Anthony's saying, for just asking, because I was waiting.
Just asking about where the saber was, right?
Because like you might send an email.
It took months and months and months.
And then you might send another email. And when you try to send a follow-up email, they say, you're harassing us. Right, Gabe? Didn't they say something like that to you? They said, like, you're asking too often, and you're like, dude, I never got an answer the first time. So what do you mean you're saying I'm harassing?
Next thing you know, I was banned.
And then they banned you. But it's like you were literally just trying to get an answer to the first email, and you were asking Harris and I, am I being too forward? I sent an email 2 weeks ago. I remember it exactly. Harris, do you remember he would ask us? He would say, I sent an email 2 weeks ago.
I do.
Do you think it's too much if I send another email? I said, no, Gabe, it's not too much if you send another email. It's just, you know, I never mind if a customer sends an email, hey, you know, you never answered my last email. I'll be like, I am so sorry. I must have missed that email.
Yeah.
You don't
listen. We get a lot of emails.
And say, listen, you're harassing me, but no. This is 180 degree opposite of the type of service that you should be getting. I don't care how big the company is. Like, just because the company is big does not mean they get to talk to people like that. And let me tell you another point to this is that we're talking about. Now, every time you upload a video, YouTube asks you, is this video for kids? You know, and even though it's a lightsaber channel, I'm always saying, no, it's not for kids, because who knows, there might be I might say something, or, you know, we don't want like the scrutiny of there's a curse word in that video, so we're going to take it down or whatever. So we just say, no, it's for adults, right? But for a company like one of these Ultra Sabers or Saberforge, they have to know that a lot of their customer base is kids, right? Don't you know what I'm saying? Because like, first of all, they're selling basically a glorified toy. So they're
Right.
selling a lightsaber, right? And they're selling not only just a lightsaber, but a lightsaber at one of the most affordable price points available for the saber that makes sound and light, right? So that's what they're known for. It's like, oh, you want the saber at an affordable price, you could probably get something. So you probably have a lot of people who are starting out, like we said before, with lightsabers. It might be a 9-year-old kid, it might be a 15-year-old kid, or a 16-year-old kid.
Well,
And,
here's the thing, though. Keep in
and
mind,
then they're
when that
responding to
9-year-old
those inquiries like that.
Does that 9-year-old kid have $200 to pay for that saber?
No,
Absolutely
I'm saying
not.
it's probably
Mom
the
and dad
mom.
are paying for it.
It's mom and dad. But what I'm
Sure.
saying is, who's asking the question like, "Hey, I emailed a couple times. Is there? Do you guys have something for me?" And that person might be 10 years old. And what if they get a response like this? That's all I'm saying. Like, that's just
Sad.
not, you don't talk to
Sad.
people like that in the day. And another thing that I gleaned from reading, believe me, I went deep into these messages from Phil, from SaberForge to his customers. Somebody had like a Facebook page. It was like the anti-SaberForge page. I think you had turned me
remember that
onto it,
page. I remember
one of you
that.
guys told me about it, right? I
Yeah.
went through, and this is like about 4 or 5 years ago. I went and I read through a lot of the messages. This was a person who, like we said before, didn't seem to care too much about the lightsaber like fan, really, or about the love of Star Wars or the love of the lightsaber as a fictional weapon. It literally just seemed to be like a business person. So I don't know. I'm not saying there's anything bad. There's anything wrong with that. Like, be a business person, okay? But like, isn't there a way to do business and be polite to the customers at the same time?
Sure.
Is it saving time by answering nasty? I bet you it takes the same amount of time to answer kindly.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So it just
especially
doesn't
if
make
you
sense
have
to me. I never liked it.
especially if you have staff specifically designated to respond to emails.
Right? Why is he even doing it? Why is he even responding? Exactly, Gabe. Like, that brings up a question. Why is he even doing it? It seems like an ego thing. When I read those messages, I really felt like there was some kind of. I knew people like that in my life at the time, especially when I was that had an ego. Like, I know what that sounds like when they speak.
Yeah.
And that what was coming through in those messages. Huge ego. And the thing that gets me, like I told you a minute ago, is the fact that you don't know who you're talking to. You don't know what if you're talking to a child.
Yep.
When you answer that email. Like, it might be like someone's mom, like in their Facebook thing, but then the child might be, who knows? Or even if you're
bad
talking
attitude,
to someone's mom, you don't want that.
Your bad attitude could turn around. It can turn around and ruin the kid's whole love of fandom or whatever. I mean, you can just blow them out of the water.
Yeah.
It's a shame. It's a shame that people don't think ahead. People got to think before they speak. I think that's the important thing that you got to think.
Right.
Of,
And, benefit of the doubt, just to give the whole story, there's been a number of times where Gabe and I have ordered from SaberForge and we got the product and everything was fine.
Yeah.
Right, Gabe? So, that's happened too. I'm not saying that, but and I'm also going to point out that when you have 20,000 customers, maybe there is some bad situations that happen or some like negative situations that you regret. I could see that. You know what I mean? That's the
but a
the
constant bashing, and then you have this pattern consistency of down talking, or whether it's a condescending manner or disrespectful or rude. That's where you shouldn't do that kind of stuff. If you don't have time to really sit there and give that attention to the customer that they deserve, step the hell back and let it assign somebody to do it. If you have staff to do it, somebody that gets paid to sit there all day and respond to emails. You know what I'm trying to say? And that has the time to be patient and tolerant with people.
I think that we need a customer service representative for Civilized Sabers. And I know the perfect person.
Gabe.
Earl. Jeffrey. Yeah.
Jeffrey's gonna have to learn how to type like 60 words a minute.
I know.
Or
Andrea Tomasini says, "Hi guys, what's going on, Andrea? Thanks for joining in."
Oh, thanks for joining us, buddy. All the way from Italy. I don't know what time it is there, but he might be skipping sleep to join us today. So thank you very much.
Is he from Italy? How do you know it's not Andrea?
Say that again. Oh, because he messaged us last week. He said he's from
Oh,
Italy.
say okay, same guy.
Jake the Snake 1417. I've had to send 4 out of 5 of my Saberforged lightsabers back to them because of faults they caused. Yeah, I mean, you know, I've got 2 out of 2 here. Like when I'm talking 10 years ago though. So back in like 2008, 2009, I got 2 Saberforges, both full of hot glue and broken. That was one of the reasons why I had to like learn how to fix. Like I would try to open them up and fix them, and that's kind of how I realized that like, oh, there's a bunch of hot glue in here. Is this what people do? And you know, I had to kind of learn like, you know, this is maybe the wrong way to do it.
Yeah. And I had a question for you regarding the battery. Now I gotta find it again, the 9-core battery, because I saw two similar ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of wanted to pick your brain, or Harris, either one of you that may know, that could probably tell me the difference between the two. Let me see if I can find it real quick, because I see the one you sent me. It's the 9-core NL1834, right? It's the 3400 milliamp.
The one I got in Marks is the 35.
Okay.
Right.
Well, the one you sent me is the one you emailed me was the 34
Sleep
milliamp.
can't wait while it's saber time. Thank you,
right.
buddy. That is true. That is true. Haven't
Then
heard
they
anything
have
truer yet.
here it is. I think I found it. Then they
That's
have
my problem every night is sleep can wait because it's saber time, and then it ends up being 4:19 for me too.
And tell me, right now you're in New Jersey and I'm in Philly, right? And tell me something. When you and I get together to build sabers, do we sleep?
No, we don't care what time it is.
No, you guys
we
don't.
burn the candle
And
constantly, man.
I could attest to that because I'm there hanging out with you guys sometimes.
And we're trying to get Gabe to like spend the night one day because we do like these pajama parties. Saber
Yeah, I
talk
need the
pajama
crash.
parties.
You know what?
I need the
I
crash.
don't think his wife trusts him with us. I think he thinks we're going to steal him.
He's
might
gonna
not come back.
bring her. He's gonna bring her one night
Yeah.
because she's gonna help us.
Oh, more than merrier.
I'm gonna put her to work.
No,
He
she
said-
wants to.
You know
He
what?
said she's really good with her hands. Look, she's making them puppets and stuff like that. She's
Yeah.
gonna build your TriStar, Gabe. She's gonna
I
help
know.
build your TriStar.
Definitely.
How cool would it be to have a shop area and have sabers on one side and Muppets on the other?
Well,
Oh
I
my
don't like Muppets. I never liked Muppets back. I never watched the Muppet Show. Well,
It's
not
time
that I
to
don't
convert.
Like Muppets,
It's time to
but
convert Ant.
I never got into that Muppet. Like
Listen.
only Muppet I like was Yoda.
That's true.
And-
Yoda was a
and-
Muppet.
And Chewie. No, Chewie's not a Muppet.
She was like a full puppet,
Yeah.
full body puppet.
No,
You
but
said,
Jabba
hey,
was.
Ant,
Jabba
one-
was a Muppet.
Jabba was. Oh, that's right. Jabba was.
They had things in there. They're like pulling. They're like two little guys in there like pulling strings and stuff like that.
And the one you said you showed on camera earlier, that was 3,500 milliamp, right? 9-core NL 835 HP, right? And you said it was 8 what?
8 amps.
8 amps. Okay, they have one here. It's 18650 NL 1835 3,500 milliamp, but it's not the HP one.
And what's the amps on that?
Let me see. 650. Max charging current 2 amp. Recommended charging current 1 amp. Estimated 500 cycles. Max discharge. It doesn't say.
Jake the Snake is JT Lovecraft on Instagram. I do know that we are friends on Instagram. I think let me get this package again, Gabe. Let me see.
I'm gonna send it to you. Text you now.
Yeah, 1835 HP, but I don't know. Oh, because this one is the reason why it's HP, and I think you do want to look for one that's HP because it's high performance. It says high performance protected. So that was like one of the nice things I saw about the night cores were that they were all protected, at least that I could see. But you do still always want to look for that word protected because you do need that for the Neopixel lightsabers. Yeah, speaking of saber parties, Mundo, we are going to have a saber celebration when we are almost at 2,500 subscribers. So I want to have a 2,500 subscriber party. Probably, I don't know when it's going to be because I don't know how long it's going to take to get to that point, but I'm thinking like another 40 or so subscribers on this channel, SpaceWIndu channel,
Nice.
and we'll be at 2,500. And I want to do like a little, like we'll do a celebration like this online, and maybe we'll have a bunch of you guys like stop in if you want to for like a we'll have you as a guest for like 10 or 15 minutes each if you want to come in here, and we'll do a saber party. So bring your lightsaber. I think what I was thinking for that, and I hope it happens by then, is like not Labor Day, Memorial Day weekend. So we might even have you guys here, right? So that's like another month away. Do you think we'll be out of this situation and you guys can actually come over, and then we'll do like a live 2,500 subscriber party with
That would be awesome.
everybody?
I'm down for
That'd
that.
be fun. Cause like I want to like break out some beers or something, or some alcohol. Cause like I never ever drink, but I want to have a drink.
BYOB, man. I'll bring some. Definitely.
So in either case, whether we're like stuck at home, just like, crack a beer, pour yourself a screwdriver, pour yourself a drink, and we will have a saber party on
Definitely.
Memorial weekend, like maybe, Saturday or Sunday or something like that. We'll do something.
Yeah.
I don't know how many parts of the world are still going to be in like some kind of lockdown. I know some places extended their thing for like another month, which would put you at like Memorial weekend for being released, I guess you could say. So we'll have to see. But we'll have to see if we make it there too. Even if we don't make it there, we might have like a celebration to try to get there. Try to get there that night.
Yeah.
I would love to get together with you guys on something like that. That'd be awesome.
Harris, what do you got there? Your Star Killer?
Yeah, I'm playing with the Star Killer tonight mostly because I'm too lazy to go up and get my my other hilt, the current one. So
What's
you can't be on
powering...
Saber Talk without a saber in your hand. What's that?
What was powering your crystal chamber in there? It's like a full LED, right? A full
This is
RGB
just
LED?
This has one. I think it's a 5mm RGB standard LED in there. Nothing fancy. Yeah, and actually, I'm due for an LED upgrade. This thing is the LED on this. The crystal doesn't light anymore.
Oh, okay. Well,
There it is.
because that's what
I'll
I was
show you
asking.
guys.
You have the like the full size LED was underneath the crystal chamber, right? So you really got like a
it's right here.
powerful brightness and also a very solid color match, because you had like basically the same LED like powering the blade as the crystal chamber, which is something I never saw anyone do. But this hilt had enough. I mean, barely. It had enough space in it that you could do that because you made a MHS parts.
Yeah, I wanted to prove. I don't know if you guys remember this. I wanted to prove that I could build a Star Killer out of basically mostly MHS parts. There it is. Here's the bottom piece. And there it is. We're looking at the speaker there. This is the chassis. That's a Darth Ryo shapeways chassis. And most of these parts you're seeing come from MHS. That's an MHS 1 emitter. This is MHS shroud material. And show you in here. It's just this is not a Neopixel. In fact, I think I built this. I don't even think Neopixel was invented when I built this.
I want to make it Neopixel someday. I really like that saber.
You want to convert it?
I think it's worth it because we could do the crystal chamber a lot cleaner because you won't need that whole LED.
That's the red, but unfortunately the crystal chamber doesn't really work anymore. I think the LED went bad inside. And what a bummer not having smooth swing.
I know,
Right?
right?
Well, that's another reason to upgrade it, right? We can, get it.
Yeah, it's
Even
time
if
for
it's
an
not
overhaul.
Neopixel, we could get it to be smooth swing.
You know what, Aaron? Maybe we'll sell this and build another Star Killer someday. Who knows? I don't know.
I really like that one, dude. That's excellent. I mean,
Yeah, it's
look
big.
at the grips. Can
It's-
you put the grips up close? Because this is something I don't want them to be this thick on the saber that I showed you earlier. But I really like the way that you did these grips, because that's how the Star Killer grips are supposed to be, and I like how you used that brass
I'll show you
square.
what that is. I have some more of that here if I can find it. Hang on. Yeah, here's a little piece left. That is, you know where I got that? That is Amazon Prime, just brass bar stock, basically it's called, or brass key stock, because this is kind of what they use to make keys out of. Anybody, you can go on Amazon. I buy these in about 1 foot lengths. They're heavy. It's solid brass. And
I like what you
when
did with
shined
that
up,
on the
they're
Star
very
Killer.
nice, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I carved them out, carved the ends out. I smoothed the ends a little bit. Little bit of rounding at the top there, more on the bottom, because this is all MHS. The traditional Star Killer has that tapered lower piece. So, I wasn't really able to do that with MHS. I wanted to stick with MHS. The bar stock is not MHS. This is MHS. This is MHS. I'm sorry, not the cover wheel. This is all MHS, and that's an MHS pommel. So I wanted to stick with off-the-shelf parts. I didn't want to, if anything was customized, I wanted to customize it myself. I didn't want to buy a customized piece. I could have bought that pommel. Today there's guys, I think Ray Fleet, I think his name is, maybe Texas Custom Sabers. They'll build you parts, but I wanted to do it my own out of MHS. That was the whole thing with this hilt, that I wanted to make it. It's all MHS. As you can tell, there's only the Graflex pins on the one side, which I believe was Canon on the Star Killer, guys. You can back me up a little bit.
Say that again. Is what Canon?
The Graflex pins, the brass pins.
Oh,
They were
I don't
only
know.
on
As
one
far
side
as, I think
on the
only
Star
one
Killer.
side. Yeah. Like, did you put them on? Do you have it on both?
No. There's the one. That's the right side, and there's the blank left. So, yeah, and they're MHS bunny ears right there. I mean, if you look close, and even the box on the original Star Killer
Was longer, yeah.
was a little longer and skinnier, but that's a stock MHS box right off the shelf. And I bought the MHS box lid for it, and I drilled these holes, and I added these tactile. I don't know if you can hear it clicking, but I added these tactile buttons here. You'll hear it. So it's I want to say 95% off the shelf stock MHS, and even the crystal chamber is mostly MHS. If you look internally, this piece in here, if I can get my fingers in there, right there, you'll see, and I can show you what that was because I had one freeze up on me when I was building this. Check this out. You guys will get a kick out of this. There it is right there. There's your two MHS pieces. That's an MHS blade holder 1, and that's a rib section that I cut out half of the grooves on that, and that's what was in here. This was the original one that froze up on me. So
yeah, like that rib section that you're holding is is like the thing that I'm telling you was like I got a couple blanks of that, meaning like all the rib section is filled in with metal, but you just have that same opening in the center, so you could think about what we might want to do with that. I'm not sure yet, but we have 2 of those pieces, so we can make like 2 similar sabers. Like I had a couple ideas of what we could do, like make some cool openings, make some cool inserts that are plastic that could maybe be like diffusers for light and stuff like that.
Sure. Good ideas.
Hey, I noticed Mundo asked how often do LEDs go out?
Well, it kind of depends how you power them. I would
batteries
guess as well.
If you're sending too much power, they're going to last 5 minutes,
Also depends on if you're going to be hard dueling with it, right?
Well, the impact really won't matter.
Yeah, I was going to say that because an LED there's no moving parts inside an LED. Basically, an LED is a little chip. The little piece that actually emits the light is mostly like a chip,
Yeah.
and that chip is then encased in the plastic. So, you know, I
Yeah.
mean, and they're relatively cheap to make. I mean, let's see if I can find something here to show you guys.
But you know what's
something
weird? It's
interesting.
like I bought like LED lights for like my living room, you know, like replacement lights, and it says like
Right.
will last like 100,000 hours or last
I
200,000 hours or whatever,
yeah, I don't believe that.
or they say will last 20 years. I'm telling you, I bought it months ago, and one of them's out already, and it's happened in
Oh
like
yeah,
multiple rooms, multiple different brands of LED lights.
yeah.
It's
So
strange.
I don't know how good you guys can see this, but this
Yeah.
is I bought this on Amazon.
What are those little 3 or 5 millimeter? What are those?
This is I don't know if you can see it down here, right here. 475 LEDs. I think this cost me about $6 or $7. And just so you guys can see it, the type
These
of
would be for
LED that
accent
we're
LEDs, right?
and whatever. I mean, I even have some of these in there, Ant. You'll know what that is when you see the 4 leads. What's that do, Ant?
RGB.
Yep, there you go, buddy. You know, so there's some 5 millimeters in here. There's some 3 millimeters in here. I'll show you the difference between the 3s and 5s. So, you know, the problem's not so much the LEDs. The LEDs are basically cheap enough to replace. The problem is on that Saber that I was just showing you guys, to get to that little LED inside there, you're talking a couple hours worth of work to take it apart. There's the difference. That's a 3 and a 5 together. This is an RGB. This, I believe, is white. And basically what I do to test them, I just put the 2 leads on my power tester on my bench. And, you know, you turn it up. And the brighter you turn it, these are rated at 3.3, basically. Let's say you have a white LED that's rated at 3.3 volts. If you put 5 volts to it, what do you think's going to happen? You're overpowering it, and boop, little puff of smoke, and bye-bye LED. So there are multiple things that can affect an LED, but I will say that dueling is not really going to do that because that little LED chip is encased in solid plastic, unless it was a manufacturing issue where, and that can, I mean, look, you know, let's look in general terms. You buy a car, and you know you can buy a car, and somebody else buys the car that was built right after that car online, you know, and you know, the first car could run great, and the second car could be a lemon, as they call it, you know. So you never know. It's just there's so many factors involved when you're talking that kind of stuff.
That's kind of like one of the reasons why when people ask me like, hey, what do you do for your blades, like some kind of warranty or whatever for civilized sabers? Well, I just tell them like, you know, listen, if something goes wrong, send it back to me. I will fix it. I'm not gonna, you know, bug you about what happened or whatever.
I agree with that.
I don't trust a LED that's gonna last 100,000 hours either. So sometimes I've had it where, you know, I think I told you guys there was one customer where the top of his blade got like rainbowish or something like that happened, right? So we took it back and we replaced it or whatever. And then my friend Marcus in Sweden, who did some of our SaberTalk graphics, he said one of his sides of his blades went out, or not went out, but went like rainbow. So, you know, I made him another one and sent it out to Sweden, just you know, because like he's a repeat customer. He told me something's going wrong with it, so you know I believe him. Right. And just I know from what he described it, I know that what it could be a couple different things. You know, it could be a bad connection, right, or it could be just something with the strip.
That's the thing with electronics, man. You never know what can cause the outage or whatever. It's always something with electronics.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like we're building. I know Anthony and I have the same viewpoints on a lot of this stuff. Where I mean, I build the Saber with the intention that this thing's going to be dueled with, this thing's going to be used, beat on a little bit. I've made this simulation or terminology before where I like to treat a lightsaber like a race car. I don't know if anybody's ever gone to the drag races at the local drag strip on a Sunday afternoon, but these guys spend thousands upon thousands. I mean, what's a dragster cost? $500,000 to build. Yeah, hundreds of thousands to build one of those real long dragsters with the big wheels in the back, you know. Mm-hmm. And they take it and They're only driving at a quarter mile down the strip, and that quarter mile is what what's it take to do a quarter mile on a drag strip?
Like
5
12 seconds or
seconds,
something. Oh, I
6
don't know.
seconds. 12 seconds is actually slow. I think I used to do 9s on my motorcycle.
I did like
back in the day.
13 sec. I went to the drag strip one time in Maryland with my buddy Brian, and we
Mhm.
took our cars. I had a brand new 1998 Maxima with a 6-speed. Was it 5-speed or 6-speed? Whatever it
Nice.
was. Manual.
Did you run it?
And I ran it down. They charge you like like $20 or whatever it was. You could run, or
Yeah.
$25. You could do it twice. So
Yeah.
I didn't have good launches, but I did was it like 13 and a half seconds or something like that, or
It's not bad.
I don't know, whatever
That's
it
not
was,
bad.
maybe 14 seconds.
For a stock
whatever
car
it
like
was.
that?
It was just a regular
Yeah.
car that I had a
Well-
manual in it, so I was like, let's just do this,
Let's
just do it.
The reason I bring that up again is that these guys, they're beaten that 5 second, 10-second race down. They're going to run that car for 5 seconds, and what do you think they do? They take it back to their shop and they take it all apart, they clean it, they inspect every piece and put it back together again so that it'll do the same thing or even better performance the week later.
I gotta learn
And
to
that's
do that
the-
for my guns, because I've
Yeah.
shot my guns before and never cleaned them. Is that
Oh,
bad?
that's bad. That's
Oh my
bad.
God.
Yeah, you got to clean your stuff.
Yeah, I even
You
looked
gotta
at my revolver is all dirty. I maybe shot it like 3 times. It maybe what, 300 to 400 rounds passed through it. It's kind of dirty.
You should clean the gun every time, because what happens is that residue gunpowder left in there can turn to a solid and jam the piece up. So you
Oh,
should
no.
definitely clean that. Yeah,
Crap.
it's not good.
Do you know how to do it?
I'll
Maybe
help
next
you.
time you're
I know
over,
how to
you
do
can
it. I'll
show me,
help
'cause
you with it.
I've got a gun cleaning kit, and I've
Yeah.
never done it. And I've got a couple of my guns that I've shot a couple hundred rounds and never cleaned them. Other than that,
I'll
they're
help you
brand
do
new,
it. We can
but
do
it's
it
been-
together one night.
Hopefully they're
One night
not
we're together,
destroyed,
we're
'cause
bored.
it's been years ago. It's been years since I've shot
Yeah.
them, but never cleaned
So,
them. I
but
knew it was a bad problem.
What I'm trying to explain, and I hope people understand that, is, and that goes back to that question that Mundo had asked about the LEDs. I can take a brand new LED and put it in, and it can burn out in 15 minutes if I have a short somewhere, a bad wire that I'm not seeing, something,
Or not
something you just
using the
missed.
right resistor. Some people can blow out their reds
Anything.
if they don't have the resistor that they need, because the resistor on the
Yeah.
red is very important, or yellow, because if you have an amber LED or a orange
Right.
LED, usually the requirement is different, and you can only get away with not resisting if we're talking blues, greens, and stuff like that. Just different power requirement.
Yep.
Valero, yeah, I think we because somebody dropped out and then came back in, we had switched places. Yeah, Mundo says you absolutely gotta clean those guns. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't do it yet, but it's been I'm usually on top of everything, and then with that is one thing I let slide, and I'm like, oh, I'll do it next month when I go shooting again, and then we're talking years have gone by since I've done any shooting at all. So
Yeah.
yeah, and when I
Yeah,
looked at it the
Ann,
other day,
are you-
it was dirty.
Are you talking? Is that the one that you keep downstairs, the silver revolver? you're saying?
Yeah. Then when I
Yeah.
showed it to you, I think is when I noticed that it was dirty. I was like, oh, it's a little bit. It needs some oil.
Again, we're off the subject, but what I want to tell you too is that's a revolver. The revolver can handle it, in my opinion, a little bit more than an automatic style weapon. Because with the automatic style weapons, there's just so much more going on inside
moving parts in
internally.
there.
Yes, yeah. So, but a revolver, there's, of course they call it a revolver because the barrel spins. Your bullet's at the top here. When you shoot that bullet, now that casing is empty, so that'll move down to the number 2 position or the number 3 position, 4, 5, 6. But it's just that's the only real movement, that and the release of the hammer that hits the back of the round as it's shot. Whereas on an automatic weapon, the bullet is in a stack and it comes up, goes in, is shot, and as the slide pulls back, that bullet is ejected, or that round brass, what's left, is ejected, and the head of it is what the projectile that comes out. But you definitely should clean your guns, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I kind of realized that it's a lot like a lightsaber when it's like your personal defense. Like if you were, in the Star Wars world, a lot of times in the Luke Skywalker era, they would carry, at least in the expanded universe, they would carry. He would. I think there was a book that described Luke Skywalker actually advising some of the younger Jedi to carry blasters as well, because it can come in handy. Like, what if you needed to, there's something across a gap that you need to just like blow out the, and you're not as proficient in the Force, maybe you need to blow a door open from across the way or something like that. I mean, you kind of saw it in A New Hope when they have to shoot the stormtroopers that are across the ridge or across the gap in the Death Star that are firing on them. Sometimes if you can't use the lightsaber proficiently to deflect their blaster bolts and actually aim them back at them, like you might learn to do, right, Gabe, in like the Force, what's it called? The video game that we were playing.
Oh yeah, the Fallen Order.
Fallen Order, yeah. Like, so if you tap it right in the Fallen Order, you're still a Padawan in a sense, but if you tap the button right, if you get it right timing, the blaster bolt will go back to the enemy.
Yeah.
But Luke in A New Hope couldn't even. Well, he could deflect blaster bolts a little bit, but I don't think in a real life situation he was ready to try right there. Plus, I don't know that he had the lightsaber on him, right? He had like the stormtrooper outfit that he took off. Did he have the lightsaber hanging there? I think maybe he did, or he left it back on the Millennium Falcon. Oh, nice, Mundo. That sounds like a cool gun, a Colt. My dad really likes that gun. That's like, my dad watches a lot of cowboy type movies and stuff, and he bought a similar, like an imitation. I think it's like an imitation version of something like that, because he loves the way that those cowboy movies, like he loves the revolvers in those cowboy movies. So he needed something. He needs something like that. Yeah, the Fallen Order is pretty good. I still haven't finished it. I think, Gabe, did you finish that game?
I finished it, but I want to start it again. And even I finished the story mode, but there's so many side missions and things you can do. You know how you travel, you travel to different planets.
Yeah.
I mean, story mode is done, but I'm still like the entire game. It's only like 70% completed. I still got to go to the planets and find other trinkets and do other things. But I want to start the story mode all over again. I love the story, and it was
I want to continue it. I haven't had a chance to continue it. I've been kind of busy with a lot of builds and stuff, but I want to do that.
Yeah,
and like the couple times I played a game, I played Red Dead Redemption. That's kind of why I was thinking, Harris, about cleaning the guns in the first place. Because, Harris, you probably didn't play Red Dead at all, but in the game Red Dead Redemption, you have to clean your guns. So when you shoot them for a while, it doesn't even take that long exactly. That's kind of how I know how realistic it really is, that you don't even have to put that many rounds through the guns in the game, and then it asks to be oiled and cleaned, and your character actually has to do it. So it's been making me think about those couple hours I played a few days ago, made me think about my guns. I was like, I need to clean my own weapons. I'm cleaning the weapons in the game, and I'm not cleaning the weapons in my drawer. What's wrong with me?
Yeah, how crazy are we? How many lightsabers have you cleaned in the past 6 months? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll polish my lightsabers, and then I don't polish the actual defense tool for life.
Yeah.
I let the fictional weapon run the show, I guess.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want to start it over though. It's a real fun.
But Gabe, can something like that is like 2D and you're into the Oculus now?
I was just gonna say,
satisfy?
I've been so stuck in the Oculus now with this immersive stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, can
I'll
it
be right
even
back.
satisfy? Okay.
Yeah, that it's like kind of hard to go back to PS4. It's a whole different experience. It's amazing. Only thing though, I will say the graphics obviously are way better.
On the PS4?
Yeah, games are more realistic and stuff like that.
Well, maybe they're just not there yet.
I have it right here. The headset, since this is a standalone device and everything is inside of it, the processor can only hold but so much.
Oh, okay.
It ain't like, the PCs and things like that.
I wonder if it's going to become to the level of like where you look is the only part that's focused, kind of like in reality when we see peripherally, it's not quite in focus. We see focused in front of us.
More in the center.
Behind us could be
Yeah.
almost like the Matrix, where it's not even like rendered. Maybe they do that already, but maybe that could solve some of it, where it's like behind you is like, but I don't know if that could be rendered so fast to where like if you spun around to do your game to like attack a bad guy behind you, could it render that quickly? Like I know in GTA when you're on the bike really fast, sometimes you can catch that it's like trying to catch up and render.
Yeah.
Like the street in front of you or something.
Yeah, well, that's a problem this has now because it's so limited. But as time goes by, like anything else with technology, it keeps getting better and better.
What are driving games like with that?
You know what? I haven't tried a driving game.
I wonder if that, like, you know what you should do? Get a driving game, set up a fan, and like sit in front of a fan. Maybe on like a motorcycle.
I actually seen people. I'm part of some of the Oculus Facebook group pages and stuff. I've seen people actually set up. They can get the old PlayStation steering wheels.
Yeah.
And they connect them to the Oculus, and they actually, I think they sell one for the Oculus, and they have the pedals and all that other stuff. And
I bet you there's a motorcycle game though where you have the two handles, Gabe, and like you got to hold the handles kind of like that. You know, I would fall off my stool. Like I would set up like a little stool. And I'd have that goggles on with the two things, and I guarantee you on a motorbike race, I would fall off the stool. I would totally fall off. But I think I would kind of give you. It could give some people like vertigo or something. I bet. Like if you're going 205 miles an hour around a turn.
You know, and you're completely right, because I could play all these games on here and not worry about motion sickness. But I have a roller coaster game where you can get all different types of roller coasters. That I get motion sickness on. I cannot sit through 20 seconds of that, man, without wanting to puke. But
I wonder about flight as well. Flight might be cool.
They do have some.
You were in
they
like
do
an
still have
X-wing or something.
Yeah, they do have some flight ones, but I haven't
imagine
tried them
you
yet.
could do loop-de-loops, and I would throw up though. I wouldn't.
I haven't tried those yet. I haven't tried those. The roller coaster one messes me up, but
I could probably do one loop, and then that would
any other ones I'm okay with.
I would have to take off the goggles after one loop.
Yeah,
to gain my bearings.
But because of that is why I haven't really gotten back to PS4. You know, PS4 you're just sitting in front of the TV, where as with the Oculus you can move around and it's like immersive. You know, it's all around you and stuff. But I got to get back on Jedi Fallen Order. I've been actually thinking about it. It's funny you bring that game up. The last 3 days I've been thinking about wanting to play it over again.
Like the gameplay is really nice on that because it really lines up. Like like I said, I played the Red Dead a couple times in the past week.
Amazing.
And the gameplay on those Rockstar games are so high level that Fallen Order though really lines up with that type of gameplay. It's really succinct with when you hit the button, exactly what happens. If you didn't do it right, that's kind of where you can lie at fault, in that game. It's a really cool game, and the graphics are awesome, and the lightsaber stuff is awesome.
Oh no, it's amazing. The gameplay's amazing. I heard they're coming out with a part 2 for Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh, okay.
That's going to be
sick.
awesome. Yeah,
that's why another reason to kind of finish this and get to the end of this, so I can see, because I've heard people online talk about the story and stuff, and then I kind of quickly turn off the video. I'm like, I don't want to know. I heard that there's something at the end. I don't know, but I want to get there before it's spoiled for me or something.
Yeah, you gotta
it
hurry
almost
up.
kind of was spoiled a couple times.
That's why I actually watched.
Attention.
That's why I actually watched Clone Wars today. I watched it early in the morning.
You don't want someone to say something like
no. It Disney streams it first thing in the morning. You could watch it all day. So I watched it because I get on Instagram today.
And there's a couple videos of what happened, right? And
there's people already
pictures.
posting and pictures, and I don't want to see it, so I watched it early, man. I watched it early. But
hopefully
I'm definitely gonna start Rebels
that this weekend. Yeah, and you should check out the Rebels and remind us a lot of the stuff. I remember a lot of the stuff. There's only one thing I didn't like in Rebels a lot was the lightsaber helicopters. That's the one thing I didn't like. But that comes in like season 4 or something, Gabe. But you won't have to worry about that for a while. But it's like at one point the bad guys have a certain lightsaber. That the way it actually, Harris, you got to admit though that the way it turns on the axis of the metal structure that the lightsaber is built off of is cool in a sense because it
very cool.
The way it rotates,
like the concept,
you could imagine that it could really work that way. but the
Let
way
me
they
ask you a
use it as a
question.
helicopter, because it spins, Gabe, it spins.
Yeah.
And the way that they
I'm
use
gonna
it,
ask
they
you
hold it
guys.
above their head as if it's a no, because a fucking light blade does not have mass, bro. Does not
If you
have
can-
mass.
That's
Does
what I'm
anybody
saying.
in here know what I'm talking about? You can't
Let
do
me-
that.
No, physically impossible. Let me ask you this though, guys. Okay, if a lightsaber blade could spin that fast, right, and make you cause lift to lift you like a
It
helicopter,
just makes me laugh. It
right,
doesn't make me
right?
cause lift.
Why didn't General Grievous just
Oh.
split in half when he was spinning the sabers like this?
Just fly away, kind of?
He would have just. Why? Yeah, I mean,
It
you
goes
know,
back to what I always talk about with that people spinning lightsabers. You can't do that when they
Can't
weigh
do it.
nothing.
Yeah,
You know, they're in the movies
that
doing
was a
all these
bummer for me
windmill
too.
spins and stuff. You can't do that in real life.
No,
There's no
major
mass.
bummer for me. There's no mass, and what you're trying to explain in layman terms, it's just light. I mean, you put your light up, you put a flashlight up, and you
Yeah.
can even a laser beam. Your hand will pass through the laser beam. You know.
Yeah.
So how can nothing, no substance, cause lift?
Right.
It's physically impossible.
It's
I
a
also
cartoon.
think that's it's a cartoon, so you could let it go, obviously, but
Bummer. They
uh,
missed the boat on that one.
right. They could take it to the next step, which is like, let's just make all this stuff make sense. Because in the beginning, when Disney first bought Star Wars, they said, listen, we're going to the reason why we're canceling the old EU is we're going to tie everything up in a nice bow whenever we do something. And that's not what they're doing. They're they have continuity errors left and right. They don't know what
All over the place.
their right
All
side
over,
doesn't know what their left side is doing.
Yeah.
They are totally screwed up when it comes to continuity, and they promised to tie all that stuff in a neat bow in the beginning. So that's something
Doesn't
that
happen.
shouldn't have happened that way.
You got to
Especially
think
with,
about it
someone
like
Dave Filoni running that show.
I would think about it like them high-powered lasers you can buy, right?
Mm-hmm.
The
Like you sent
high-powered
me
laser
that
pointer.
video of the lightsaber the other day, right?
Yes,
It's like where they pop the
That was
balloons.
sweet. That was sweet.
Yes. Imagine those holding one of those high-powered lasers. You're not gonna be able to spin that like they do in the movies, as if it had some front weight or whatever you
Well,
call
like
it.
Harris was saying earlier, maybe that's the reason why you would want girth on the lightsaber. You want it to be weighty. If you had Harris's Star Killer right there, or even like my Graflex right here, it's got a little bit of weight in it.
Heavy.
Harris has a lot of weight where you can actually whip this around with your wrist, even if there was no blade in it. I could see that, but doesn't it lend itself to a little bit more air of dangerousness? Imagine it, that's kind of why I always thought when Luke first picked up that lightsaber that's a dangerous thing, because it's a light weapon. So therefore, like you said, Gabe, no weight, like you said, Harris, no mass, therefore very dangerous, because you cannot feel where the arc is, or where the tip is pointing, in a sense. Unless
You'll feel when it chops your arm off as you're spinning it around.
So it just makes more sense that way. That you need the force to wield it. In a sense.
The guy that you're mentioning about that built the Graflex one, he says in the video like 2 or 3 times, he said this will never leave the bedroom.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. Because I'm glad that he mentioned that the safety of it, and he was going to be careful with it, because it looked like it was a dangerous. The one other cool thing about it, he said it was a cyan laser. I never heard of that before. Blue laser.
Also, when he puts the blade in it, if you notice what he said,
Whoa.
when he put the blade in there, he says it's brighter than a Neopixel.
Yeah.
It was very bright. It looked good on camera.
Yeah, when he turned that on, he said it was brighter.
It was brighter than that. It really was. It blazed. Gabe, is that your enhanced blue in there?
This is the enhanced blue.
It was even brighter than that.
He says it's brighter than a Neopixel. He says, I think it might even be brighter than a Neopixel. That blew my mind, for that light to be coming from Inhill.
Yeah.
And for him to say it's brighter than a Neopixel, I would love to see that in person.
I wonder if there's anything
He
dangerous
did a great
about
job on that.
Yeah, that was nice. And he said it was his first build. So if you
Yeah, I
guys
saw
don't know
that.
what we're talking about, Gabe, maybe if you could like look it on your phone so we could tell people which video this was.
Yeah.
But there was somebody, and they just released the video like 2 days ago. They built one of these laser lightsabers that you've probably seen before that can kind of pop a balloon and do stuff like that. But he had a couple different things in there. He for instance, had a multi-battery setup, which I thought was great for the laser, powered the laser at 7.4 and the Profi board at 3.7. That was the other cool thing about it, was that it had the Profi board, so it was the first laser lightsaber I've ever seen with smooth swing. And it also had this very high-powered cyan laser, which had the color of like Luke's Graflex lightsaber. Amazing. It did pop balloons. It was dangerous. So I don't know if I'll ever make one like that, because I'm, already looking at these bright lights enough as it is, like, to let alone have a laser beam hit my eyeball. I don't know about that, but it is interesting. I would love to put it into my Lux tester to see what the number really is on that blue and compare it to other blues.
How cool would that be?
That'd be bugged out. That'd be bugged out to see what that really was.
Yeah.
Because you never really know until you test it. Like, your eye only tells you so much. Like, I've looked at stuff I thought was brighter, and it was brighter, but to the extent of how bright is only known in the lux meter. Your eye can only discern a little bit.
Correct. The naked eye can only discern a little bit. You're right.
Yeah. Like, Gabe, me and you know, whenever we look at something that's like brighter, we're like, that's brighter, but we never know how much. Like, how much, we have no idea until we put it in the lux tester. We kind of don't know. Like, when we looked at the TriStar, we're like, whoa, that's kind of hard to look at. But as far as like how many, is it 3 times brighter? Is it 1 time? Is it 2 times bright? I mean, it's hard to tell that with the eye. You're like, yes, it's brighter, but how much? Who knows until you actually do the testing.
I just texted both you and Harris the link to YouTube, Laser Graflex Build. It's called Laser Graflex Build. Breakdown and features. I could pull it up on here, so maybe I could show you guys. Laser Graflex Builds. For those of you guys watching us who have not seen this video, this guy did a pretty awesome job of putting a real high-end powered laser install into a Graflex hilt. I don't know if, did he mention what Graflex is it?
I think he did at one point.
Was it a master replica?
I don't remember.
No, I think he said it was a TCSS kit.
Oh, TCSS kit?
I think so. So, all right, I'm going to pull up.
But for those of you guys, and Anthony's getting ready to put it up now. You guys will see if you haven't. For those of you who haven't, he did an amazing job, and this thing is very powerful.
So this kid's name is Charlie Rayner. He doesn't have many subscribers, so it looks like, if he posts any more about this lightsaber, you guys might want to know about this lightsaber and go subscribe to Charlie Rayner. I'll show you right now. I'll show you right now with the video. But very, very cool. I've always liked the idea of it, because I've always been interested in lasers, and I've always purchased them. Like, back when the internet was new, I would beg my mom to go online and purchase for me with my money. Like, I would save up my money to the tune of like $450. I remember one time for when the green laser came out, I was probably like 15 or 16 or 17, and I wanted it, and my mom, had a credit card. I was like, listen, Mom, here's the $400. Please, you got to get me that green laser. I've been saving up for like 2 years for this green laser. Obviously these prices of this stuff has come down, I'm certain, but I don't know how much the blue laser is. I know they have a purple laser. Pretty wild. So let's see here.
The most common is the green one, isn't it?
Well, the most common is the red one. That's the one that has like 2 cents.
Oh, yeah.
It's like on a keychain type of thing.
Yeah.
So this kid, Charlie Rayner's got this Graflex lightsaber that he made, his first build, very impressive here. And he's got these 2 specially sized 3.7 batteries that the way he's got it set up, you guys should check out the video, is that it sends 7.4 to the laser, which he says the laser requires that. And he's got actually a way to remove the laser from the hilt. It can unscrew something and actually just take out the laser unit. But look at this. Let's see here. So this is just, you might think that the blade's in already, but this is just the laser. He's got some kind of lens that makes the laser beam wider.
A focusing lens,
focusing lens. So it broadens the beam, And I guess in the smoky room or whatever, you will see that beam as if it's like a real lightsaber blade, but it will probably not end for a little while until it hits enough particles there. But he's also got it, so here you could tell again that this is the laser itself in a beam widening lens after it hits the beam widening lens. And he also puts in, let me just go to the, he's holding up the laser module here, and he's holding up, showing the wiring inside his Graflex. But now he's got a blade tube in there. And, you know, this is, I had a question about this. I didn't really know, but he said earlier that the emitter it was wider than a 1-inch blade. And then he put in a blade here that, I don't know, is this a 1-inch blade or something wider than 1 inch? Because he said earlier that the emitter housed something wider. I don't know if he put in some kind of adapter and I didn't hear him say it.
Well, and I don't know if it can be too much bigger because it's got the Graflex bunny ear rings wrapped around that, you know?
True, true.
So I would say it's probably close to 1 inch, you know, it would have to be.
Now, I love the way it turns on actually too. But look at that aura. It's like the similar type of thing, Gabe, that me and you notice on the Neopixel sometimes. But this laser inside this blade must be bouncing around so crazy that I wonder if there's any residual do you think there's any laser light that is kind of bad for you, or do you think it's when he's got the blade in, it's totally contained in there in a sense?
Am I wrong that lasers emit radiation?
That's what I kind of mean. Like, do you think there's, other than, like, when he's got this blade in, do you think there's some kind of danger there, whether it be light danger to your eye or some kind of like radiation thing, like you said, Harris? You think it's?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, he puts in the lens. I think he has a focusing lens to widen the beam, and then puts the blade so that the light can really fill in the entire blade. Because if he has just a little thin beam, it's going to go dead through the center of the blade and not really bounce off of anything, I think.
So it's like
I think he has that focusing lens and then puts the blade in to widen the beam.
He took out the focusing lens and then put the blade in, but I don't know.
Really?
Like, maybe there's something solid on the bottom, like a piece of glass in the blade, inserted in the blade, that makes it bounce around or magnify it or go.
My other question is, wouldn't that beam is powerful? Wouldn't that burn through the plastic end of the blade?
I would have thought so too, or maybe
he's got a mirror on there probably.
Oh yeah, unless he's got a mirror.
It's got a mirror on the blade tip.
Okay.
On the inside, right?
Wild build, guys. Be careful if you end up building an actual laser lightsaber. Ken of the Hill says definitely need an X-Wing versus TIE Fighter game for that Oculus. Yeah, for sure. Jake the Snake, it's probably a perpetual force push on their own saber and not carrying the Inquisitor. Maybe, but they were kind of like floating around a lot, I thought. They were kind of like floating up and down in those scenes. What did you guys think of Astrophysics Dr. Machida on his take of a real lightsaber build? I did see that video.
I didn't see that.
I don't remember it 100%. I think I would kind of have to rewatch it again. I think he was farther off than it's actually going to be now. Now this video is probably at least 5 years old by now, is when this guy did this lightsaber kind of discussion. But I think he was more so along the lines of like a long time from now or impossible. And my idea is like that sooner than a long time from now, and certainly not impossible for a real lightsaber. I think it's going to happen.
I would be happy if that happened.
Lord Wildman says, well, to be fair, in Legends lore, they play around with the lightsaber having a moment, as in it's weightless. Due to the plasma arc, it takes a lot of force to turn it. Yeah, like I remember the original way that George Lucas wanted the lightsaber to be thought of was that it would have some kind of like vibration or some kind of unwieldiness that would take someone of extreme,
had a lot of weight to
ability
it.
to to deal with. Yeah, well, Harris, I don't know if it was like so much weight the way George Lucas described it. I'm gonna watch that documentary again. That the story of
I
Star
remember
Wars, I think
seeing
it is,
Lucas, and I remember the terminology. The word he used was heavy.
Really?
A
Okay.
heavy blade. Yes, George Lucas used the terminology a heavy blade.
That's
He
odd
wanted
then
to,
that,
you know,
maybe we're wrong about the mass thing. Who knows? But it just doesn't seem like it doesn't like I know that they changed that for the later, going forward. I remember even in that documentary, The Story of Star Wars, they said at first that he thought of it that way, and then he later kind of changed the way that it was. Like for the prequels,
Right.
he said, these lightsabers are very like weightless at that point by the time they got to
Right.
the prequels. Legends
Yep.
is very inconsistent with how lightsabers supposedly work. Yeah, you have so many different authors in Legends. I really did like the effort that they did put in Legends to kind of keep it as tight as they could, but there was so many books. I think there was like hundreds of books. So it was very, very difficult. You did have a lot of like weird overlap stuff going on. Lord Wildman says only way the laser can hurt you is shining directly in your eye because of very intense focus over a small surface. So I guess when he's got that lens, that widener, or in the blade tube, it's hell of a lot safer. So yeah, that's good to know. That's good to know. So do you guys have anything else to bring to the Saber Town Hall meeting tonight?
No, I'm good.
What are you
Mundo says
working
he
on,
was
Harris?
thinking of OD ceramic for blade and then the nano batteries.
Nano batteries. What were we talking about here?
I think when you guys were talking about
the laser thing. He's got a
Yeah.
ceramic thing at the end of there. Okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, there's a lot to think about when you try to incorporate that high-powered laser, I think.
I would love to see that in person. I'm curious to see how bright he's talking about. For him to say
Yeah,
it's
I would
bright
love
Yeah,
to
that's
be able to
nice.
see it in the lux meter to really
Yeah.
see like what the actual number is, because blue's got a certain range of like
And blue's one of the
those
lowest
numbers.
in range.
Yeah, because it's like usually like what in like the 2000 range is like
Yeah.
what we're usually seeing on blues, because it's kind of like wavelength wise, it's just a different type of light than like the green. I don't know. It's like it's got a different reading. So like greens always turn out to be brighter. That's why when I test a lot, I always try to like see what the green is, because I know that that's going to be like the brightest look.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming into Saber Town Hall meeting. We will do this I think we'll do this type of show like once a month. Not that it's like too much different from a Saber Talk. I just think it's a funny name. But we'll probably do another Saber Talk in a couple days as well. And everyone, come into our next Saber Talk and have a good time, even though we're all stuck at home. Bring your lightsabers. I'm gonna flip them on at this point. If any of you guys got your lightsabers out there, flip them on right now. Lightsabers across the world.
Hey guys, you know what I also wanted to say?
My mini lightsaber blade here.
For all you guys out there that watch us, if you're ever watching us live here on YouTube, take a screenshot of yourself watching our show and tag us on social media so that we can share that with everyone around the world. We got Andre from Italy, for example, and different people from all over the country, from all over the world. If you happen to be watching us one day live, take a selfie, take a shot of us, of yourself watching us. Put it on Instagram, put it on our social media on Facebook, and tag us in it, tag yourself in it and all. We'd love to share that with everyone else to show everyone that you guys are there watching, that you guys support us. So we appreciate you guys watching and hanging out with us.
Yeah, Gabe runs the Civilized Sabers Instagram. So if you guys want to check out that Instagram, it's at Civilized Sabers. I'm SpaceWIndu on Instagram. Harris, you recently got your Instagram up and running. Is it Harris Schlesinger on Instagram, or is it Frank Harris? What is it?
You know what? I haven't actually looked at it in a few weeks. I don't even remember.
Okay, well, we'll have to get that
yeah,
out. I'll put it in the description when you tell me.
I use Facebook mostly, but on Facebook, it's Harris Schlesinger. I do want to get more into Instagram, but I've been working a lot of hours and something's got to give. So,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I try to get you into Instagram because I'm always needing to like tag you for when we do a show or something, and then I could never find you on there.
I get the notifications, but I just don't have the presence on there yet. You know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks
All
again
right,
for
fellas.
joining in live.
Thanks, guys.
This will be under the live video section. After we go off the air, you guys can watch us on my channel underneath the live videos and check us out. You know, after it goes off, it's still there on YouTube. Give the video a thumbs up if you could, and we'll be back in a couple days to talk sabers with you guys again on Saber Talk. Nice color, Harris. That looks great.
That's
Is
nice.
that your 7/8 inch blade? Is that the only one that fits in there 7/8, right? That looks
Yep,
great.
that's
That looks
correct.
cool. I like 7/8 a lot. Nice emitter.
All right, guys. Talk to you soon.
All right, have a good night, everybody. Have a great weekend.